9 months ago, my sister pointed a cake knife at my pregnant belly. Everyone thought that was the worst thing she could do. They were wrong. Because last week, police opened a storage unit in my sister's name and found a nursery inside. 2 cribs stood against the wall. 2 tiny wardrobes were filled with newborn clothes. And above them, painted in white letters, were the names my husband and I had secretly chosen for our unborn twins. I almost couldn't breathe when the officer showed me the photographs, because those names had never been announced. Not at the baby shower, not online, not even to our parents. Only 4 people knew them: me, my husband Daniel, our doctor, and Vanessa, my older sister. 9 months earlier, Vanessa had been smiling at my baby shower. At least, she was pretending to. She had recently lost her own pregnancy, so I understood why she seemed distant. I tried to be gentle with her. I never showed off my pregnancy. I never talked about the babies unless she asked. But that afternoon, everything changed. Someone asked me what we planned to name the twins. I laughed and said we were keeping the names private. Vanessa suddenly stopped smiling. She looked at my stomach. Then she whispered, "You really think they're yours?" I thought I had misheard her. "What?" She looked away. "Nothing." I should have listened to that feeling in my stomach. Instead, I walked over and hugged my grieving sister. That was the last normal moment we ever had. After Vanessa lost her baby, she changed. At first, I blamed grief. She stopped answering my calls, then she started appearing at places I never told her about. One morning, I left my doctor's office and saw Vanessa sitting in her car across the street. She waved. I waved back. I didn't think much of it, but Daniel did. Why was she there? I don't know. Did you tell her about your appointment? No, he looked uncomfortable. Then ask her. I called Vanessa that evening. She laughed and said she had been visiting a friend nearby. I believed her. A week later, she asked me a strange question. Have you bought cribs yet? Yes. What kind? I told her. She went silent. Then she asked, white? I stared at the phone. How did you know? Another silence. I just guessed. That was when I started feeling uneasy. A few days later, she asked about the hospital, then my due date, then whether Daniel would be with me during delivery. I finally told her to stop asking so many questions. She became angry. You think I'm jealous of you? I never said that. You don't have to. Then she hung up. That night, an unknown number texted me. You need to be careful around your sister. I showed Daniel. He wanted me to report it, but there was no name, no explanation, so I ignored it. 3 days later, Vanessa called. Her voice was calm, almost too calm. Claire, what did you name the twins? I froze. We haven't told anyone. She whispered, I know. Then she ended the call. The baby shower was held at my aunt's house. About 30 people came. My mother decorated everything in pink and blue. There was a huge cake in the center of the room. Vanessa arrived late. She smiled at everyone. But she didn't smile at me. For the first hour, she stayed unusually quiet. Then someone asked me about the twins' names. Before I could answer, Vanessa laughed. Why don't we let her tell everyone? I felt my stomach tighten. We're keeping them private. Her smile disappeared. Of course you are. I didn't understand what she meant. Then she walked toward the cake. She picked up the cake knife. My aunt asked her to cut the cake. Instead, Vanessa turned around. The knife was still in her hand, and she pointed it straight at my belly. The room went silent. Daniel stepped between us. Vanessa, put it down. She screamed. This isn't my day. I started crying. She looked directly at me. You stole my life. I didn't steal anything. You stole my babies. Everyone gasped. Then she took one step closer. Her voice became strangely calm. Those babies should have been mine. Dad finally grabbed her wrist and took the knife away. Vanessa didn't fight him. She simply stared at my stomach. Then she smiled. You'll understand soon. The police came. Vanessa was taken away. That night, Daniel checked the family group chat. There was a message from Vanessa sent earlier that afternoon. It had been deleted, but the notification preview was still visible. Only 6 words remained. The nursery is ready for them. We thought it was the rambling of a grieving woman. We were wrong. Because 9 months later, the police would find that nursery. After the baby shower, Vanessa disappeared. She stopped calling, stopped visiting. Even Mom couldn't reach her. For the first time, I felt relieved. Daniel wasn't. He hired a security camera company to install cameras around our house. I thought he was overreacting. Then, 2 weeks later, one camera caught a woman standing outside our gate at 2:13 a.m. Her face was hidden. But she was holding something. A small pink baby blanket. The next morning, we found that same blanket hanging from our gate. I knew it immediately. It was one of the blankets Vanessa had bought during her pregnancy. We took it to the police. They said there wasn't enough evidence to do anything, but an officer suggested we document everything. So I started keeping a file. Every strange message, every unknown number. Every time Vanessa appeared near us, I thought I was protecting my babies. I didn't realize I was building the evidence that would eventually expose her. 3 days before my due date, I received another anonymous message. Ask your sister where she bought the cribs. I stared at the words for several minutes. Then I called Vanessa. She didn't answer. Instead, Mom called me. Her voice was shaking. Claire, Vanessa came to my house. What happened? She asked me for the twins' names. My blood went cold. Mom continued. She said she needed to finish something. I immediately called the police. That was the first time I stopped thinking Vanessa was simply grieving. I finally realized she had a plan. My twins were born healthy. 2 boys. Daniel cried when he held them. I cried too. For a few weeks, everything became quiet. No messages, no strange cars, no Vanessa. I started believing the nightmare was over. Then one morning, I found an envelope under our front door. There was no stamp, no address. Inside was a photograph. It showed 2 empty cribs. They were brand new. Beside them sat 2 folded blankets, and on the back of the photograph was written, they were supposed to be here. I called the police immediately. They checked our house. Nothing was missing. Nothing had been touched, but the officer looked at the photograph carefully. Do you recognize the room? No, Daniel did. He pointed to the wall. That's the same wallpaper Vanessa used in her old nursery. My stomach dropped. We had never been inside that room. Vanessa had kept it locked after losing her baby. The police went to her old apartment. The room was empty, completely empty. No furniture, no wallpaper, nothing. It made no sense. Then Daniel noticed something in the photograph. A small sticker on one crib. It was from a local furniture company. He called them. They confirmed the cribs had been purchased 8 months earlier. The buyer's name? Vanessa. But the delivery address wasn't her apartment. It was a storage facility across town. I felt sick. Someone had been preparing a place for my babies long before they were born. The police couldn't search the storage unit without a warrant, so we waited. For 3 days, nothing happened. Then Vanessa called me. I almost didn't answer. Claire? Her voice sounded normal, too normal. Why are you doing this? She laughed softly. Doing what? The photographs. Silence. Then she said, you finally found them. My heart stopped. What did you say? I said you finally found them. I put the phone on speaker. Daniel quietly recorded everything. Vanessa continued. You always thought I wanted your life. You said I stole yours. You did. How? She took a long breath. Do you remember when we were teenagers? I didn't answer. You had everything, Claire. Mom's attention, Dad's trust. Even when I was struggling, everyone chose you. That isn't true. You don't remember. Her voice hardened. But I do. Then she said something that made my blood run cold. The twins were supposed to fix everything. I stared at Daniel. What does that mean? Vanessa hung up. The next morning, the police obtained the warrant. Daniel and I were asked to stay away. The officers entered the storage facility first. 20 minutes later, my phone rang. It was the detective. Claire, you need to come here. I asked what they found. He paused. We found the nursery. Then he added something I will never forget. There are 2 cribs, 2 wardrobes, and enough baby supplies to last several months. My hands started shaking. Then he said, your twins' names are painted on the wall. I couldn't move when I saw the nursery. Everything was exactly like the photograph. 2 white cribs, 2 bassinets, tiny clothes sorted by size, even diapers stacked neatly in boxes. But the wall was what broke me. Noah, Nolan, my twins' names, painted above the cribs. Daniel grabbed my hand. How did she know? The detective looked at us. That is what we're trying to find out. Then he pointed toward a small desk. Inside the drawer, police found a folder. It contained copies of my pregnancy appointments, my hospital registration, my due date, and photographs of me leaving the doctor's office, getting into our car, holding my babies. Some pictures had been taken after they were born. Vanessa had been watching us, but there was something else. A receipt. It was for the 2 cribs. The purchase date was 8 months earlier. That meant Vanessa had started preparing the nursery before the baby shower, before the cake knife, before she ever threatened me. The detective found one final document, a handwritten list. It had 2 columns, things to buy, things to remove. The second column contained only 3 items: my nursery, my husband's clothes, and my name. I felt sick. "She planned to take them," I whispered. The detective nodded. "We believe so." Then he showed me a photograph found inside the folder. It was Vanessa standing beside the nursery. She was smiling, and beside her stood a man I didn't recognize. I stared at the picture. "Who is he?" The detective looked at me. "We were hoping you could tell us." I couldn't. But Daniel could. His face suddenly went pale. "I've seen him before." Daniel recognized the man from outside our house. He was the same person caught on our security camera carrying the pink blanket. Police traced his vehicle. His name was Marcus. He had worked for Vanessa's former landlord, but that wasn't the worst part. Marcus eventually admitted Vanessa had paid him to help move furniture into the storage unit. She told him the nursery was for a relative's babies. He believed her. Then police found the messages between them. Vanessa had asked Marcus to keep the storage unit secret. She had also asked him to make duplicate keys. The plan became clear. Vanessa wasn't trying to hurt me at the baby shower. She wanted me frightened. She wanted me distracted. And she wanted everyone to believe she was unstable. That way, if something happened later, everyone would blame her grief. But Marcus revealed one more detail. Vanessa had asked him about my hospital. She wanted to know which entrance Daniel used, which floor the maternity ward was on, and whether visitors could enter after midnight. I felt my knees go weak. The detective immediately arranged extra security around our home. Then police arrested Vanessa. She didn't deny the storage unit. She didn't deny the nursery. But she denied planning to take my twins. Instead, she claimed the nursery was simply a place to grieve. The evidence said otherwise. Inside her apartment, police found a notebook. Every page contained dates. My appointments, my due date, my husband's work schedule, even the days my mother babysat. Then, on the final page, there was one sentence. "When Claire is exhausted, she will trust me." That sentence changed everything, because Vanessa hadn't planned this for weeks. She had planned it for months, and she had been waiting for the right moment. Vanessa eventually confessed, not because she felt guilty, because police found the final piece of evidence, a recorded conversation between Vanessa and Marcus. She had told him exactly what she wanted. She wanted my twins. She believed that after losing her own baby, the universe had replaced it with mine. She had convinced herself that I had somehow stolen what belonged to her. The nursery wasn't a fantasy. It was a destination. She planned to take my babies there and disappear for several days. She even had fake documents prepared. But Marcus got scared. He secretly copied their messages. Then, after the baby shower, he anonymously warned me. That was the message I had ignored. The message that said I didn't know what my sister was planning. When I heard the full story, I finally understood the cake knife. Vanessa wanted me afraid. She wanted me to remember her as a grieving, unstable woman. Someone nobody would suspect of having a carefully organized plan, but she made one mistake. She became obsessed with proving that my babies belonged to her, and that obsession created a trail. Receipts, messages, photographs, witnesses, the nursery. Everything she thought would help her take my children became evidence against her. Months later, I visited the storage unit one final time. The police had removed everything. The room was empty. Only the painted names remained. I stared at them for a long time, then I realized something. Vanessa had spent months building a room for the children she believed were hers. I spent those same months protecting the children who actually were mine. She wanted to steal my life. Instead, she exposed her own. And when I walked away from that empty room, I finally stopped feeling guilty for surviving her betrayal. I hadn't stolen her future. I had simply refused to let her destroy mine.